don't gotta do it if you don't want to. You don't gotta do it if you don't want to. It's just a suggestion.
All right. My turn. Turn.
Let's have it.
First off, that wine was meh. It tasted like just grape juice that was starting to turn.
Yeah, it's not exceptional by any means. It's drinkable.
I drank it.
Yeah, it's drinkable. It's not something I didn't immediately want to spit it out. But
Now, one of my favorite things, Henry Weinhard's root beer. Famously moved to root beer and gourmet soda during Prohibition. Weinhard's. That's how that became the thing.
That's why we have soft drinks.
Yes. And the cap, which I hope is a twist off, says you can't prohibit genius.
I like that. I like
twist off. Okay.
They do. There are places that carry their beer.
Mm-hmm. I've had it.
What do you think of their beer?
It's beer.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, not bad.
Okay, so have you heard of the company Klarna?
Oh, you're talking about the one where you can what's it called? Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay later.
Yeah, they're huge. I've used them. I use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, Klarna, for people who don't know, is a company that skirts the regulatory process of being a credit card company with their buy now, pay later format by not having APRs or fees unless you're late with your payments. So this is their website. They've got a few different formats. And you can shop securely, and they basically will buy it for you, and you just got to pay them back. You can do it either immediately in 4 interest-free payments. That's how they get away with what they're doing. Or in over the period of 30 days. Has to be over $35. And it's something that, like you said, very popular, 4.8 out of 5 stars in the App Store. The reason that I want to talk about this is this article here. It talks about the fine print of Klarna's recent partnership with DoorDash.
I heard whispers of that. Yes, I didn't look into it, but I heard that was coming.
So it is already happening. It's a thing now. They started last month, and now you can use Klarna to get food from DoorDash and pay it off over the course of the next 30 days or in 4 easy payments.
Yeah.
And your response is, yeah.
People are already doing that with credit cards. They're already using their credit cards and or misusing their credit cards to pay for things that they cannot afford. Meals and food are on that list, and probably one of the biggest things on that list of credit card use cases. If there's a way to do it where, I know you talked about with finances, and you're huge on this, and you gave excellent financial advice, even though this is not financial advice, about having a plan. You go into a purchase with the plan is established first, then you make the purchase, then you execute the plan to repay whatever card you chose to use. Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, Sezzle, all of those brands.
Gosh, you rattled them off too.
Yeah, companies that
that's not a good sign.
I've looked into it some, and if they can exist to give a consumer a way to have a built-in plan and avoid the interest, then I think that's a better option than using your credit card.
But so the thing about using a credit card is it's an accepted means of its credit. The stipulations attached to this buy now pay later it's more akin to payroll advance, which, so my take on this is that this is extremely predatory.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they are partnering with food delivery places is just expanding the predatory nature of the financial markets of the United States. Because now you're being told you can finance a trip to Taco Bell. And that's what I want to get. Just what I want to get your take on is the, and we can include credit card companies with this as well. But the world that we live in today is being told that they don't have to do anything right now. You can work for it. You can work towards it. You can, I got you. The bro aspect of the financial markets these days has got people convinced that they're their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't quite afford that Five Guys delivery. I got you. Just pay me back in the next 30 days,
mm-hmm.
or it's going to be $7 late fee. And you can do that as many times as you want. No worries. If you want to DoorDash 30 days in a row, you just got to make sure that each one gets paid in time,
mm-hmm.
or everyone incurs a $7 fee, and then it goes to collections. But now you're not going to do that. That's cool. Just the predatory nature of that whole thing. What is it doing to our ability to understand the value of economics in this country?
Yes, I think the societal and cultural and psychological implications are the biggest ones that everyone's avoiding, because when it comes to Klarna and all of the other buy now, pay later places and companies, they're a business and they're in the business of making money. And when they have a competitor, like some of the many that I rattled off, that are seeking out those platforms to allow their users to make purchases on their sites or on their apps, then naturally a response to that would be, we also have to get on those sites and those apps so that we can continue to compete.
But you're just talking about the
Sure.
business model of these companies.
So that's why I'll get into the what is it doing. It's harming people, especially youth, especially the younger generations, because they're already set up for failure, given that if you live in a middle class to upper middle class, or maybe even an upper class family, the lifestyle that you have become accustomed to is not one that was built on these platforms and these methods. If you grew up in a home where there was a stable income and you were cared for and the lights never went off and you had central heat and you didn't have pests and rodents and you never ever were concerned with where your next meal came from, and so on and so forth, and you had luxury items, you took vacations, you had trips, you drove in fine automobiles, you lived in a comfortable environment at home, when you move away, when you become an adult and move out of that environment, you're kind of locked into this mindset where, I want that stuff, but you don't have a method or means to be able to acquire everything that your parents or your family worked so hard for to achieve. You don't necessarily realize and think, oh, it took them decades to do that. It just didn't happen overnight. And so people are thinking about how can they get there faster. Social media is definitely doing us a disservice when it comes to what people are bragging and boasting about online. What's on the internet? People get on a plane, right? It's a private jet that they just chartered, so to speak. Many people, they slip some guy in an airport $20 bill. Hey, I just want to go on and take a 40-second video, and then they're done. Or they're buying designer clothing, they're putting it on their credit card, and then they take it right back to the store after they show you whatever their Gucci haul was, right? it's not real. Everything that's out there isn't real. People are trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. People are trying to stay relevant. People are trying to make a life for themselves, and they want more than they've earned. And that is a message that is terribly harmful to society.
But that's just a symptom that what I'm talking about is allowing. And that's, yes, people are always going to try and manipulate others. The instant or the TikTok influencer is the modern day grifter. They're playing shell games with people, and that's not. I mean, that's a good point, but it's not really what I'm after. I want to get back to the predatory nature of what this means to society. You are correct in saying that it's telling people that they can have it now, even though they can't necessarily afford it, or maybe they shouldn't be trying to achieve these things. And the long problem with that is that people get into society at a young age and don't realize how much work it took for people who are older to achieve the level of success that they have. And yes, middle, upper, those class people, and it's like a shock. But I'm not saying that those people can't just be like, "Hey, Mom, I didn't realize it was gonna be so hard. Can you help me out?"
Mm-hmm.
Poor people, middle, lower class, they're the ones that are being negatively affected by this disproportionately. The way that these things target the people who can't and probably won't be able to afford these things are what is the real problem, in my opinion. And here's an example. It's like this. I don't have the money to go to the supermarket to buy a loaf of bread, some mustard, cheese, and some lunch meat. I don't have that money. I can't go do that. But I've got this thing on my phone that lets me order a $40 sandwich from Subway. Okay. Well, and now why would I be concerned? Money's not real. I just punch in some buttons on my phone. So it's like gambling. It's like going to a casino. They give you chips. This doesn't feel real. It just goes easily. And now, is this company at all concerned if that person does that, several times and gets into the trap of, now I still can't buy afford sandwich making stuff from the supermarket, but now I also owe a few $100s. So, and I will say this, and I read this article about Klarna specifically, how every single purchase goes through a financial approval process to make sure that you can afford it. But what does that look like? And how does it decide whether or not you can afford to DoorDash?
I don't know. Your example of purchasing groceries versus purchasing a sandwich that's already put together from wherever they get it from. Both of those options currently exist on DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub. So if a person wanted to get the groceries using Klarna, which if you're without food is a wiser decision, get the groceries so that you can save money over time. You can have multiple meals and it's not just this right now in this moment, and then you're still without groceries and you don't have a next meal and you've already committed that money, and now you might have to make another purchase, which is going to continue the cycle that you're in.
The predatory tactics continue though. So is DoorDash trying to convince you to buy a week's worth of groceries, or are they trying to convince you to buy from a fast food place every day of the week?
I don't think they're going to that extreme, but I am of the belief that yes, their business model is like layaway at Kmart 2.0. Except you can make payments and you get the stuff now. You get to walk away with it right now. You get it right now. We live in this world where it's instant gratification. So yes, they do want to. They are selling you this idea that you can have it right now. It is attached to a plan, and sometimes that plan is perfectly fine, and there's nothing wrong with it. You get paid if you get paid every 2 weeks. If you made a commitment to buy something on a payday, you buy it and you pay 1/4 of it right then and there. So you only have 75% of whatever the item or thing or service costs. And then if you get paid in 2 weeks, 25% of that is due in 2 weeks. I mean, you have to be smart about it. But if you're already in the habit of making poor choices and poor decisions, then yes, it could be quite easy to succumb to that.
And that's where
I agree.
That's where the predatory aspect comes into play. You said it yourself. You have to have a plan. You have to be smart about it. But no, you don't. Nothing about the way that this works or with the way that this company is profitable says you have to be smart about it. In fact, it discourages you being smart about it actively. So in this article that I read about this, Klarna stated that this is intended for larger purchases. Yes, DoorDash you can get groceries. You can buy electronics.
Mm-hmm.
They'll deliver Best Buy stuff, things like that. And that's why they set the limit at $35, which 2 people with DoorDash, it's going to go over $35, even if you're just getting freaking, cheeseburger meals at McDonald's.
Well, the limit was $35. The minimum was $35 even before DoorDash.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's their thing. And they're trying to tell you that it's because it's intended for larger purchases. But they also state in the same breath that amounts to 25% of their business, which means 75% of the business is people just trying to get Jack in the Box. I'm telling you, they're keeping quiet about the intended purpose of this and letting people make their own decisions, which, I mean, people should be allowed to make their own decisions. This is America. But the fact that it exists and allows for that kind of predatory tactic, and now in 2 weeks, I have to pay this off. I got paid. And the first thing that I'm doing is buying several delivery meals from me from last week.
So question. Are you against Klarna as a company in general, or are you just against their recent partnership with DoorDash?
I don't believe that. Yeah, I don't agree with this business model. I don't like it. I think
Klarna as a whole, or Klarna on DoorDash?
Yeah, no, as a whole, the whole
thing. Okay, no good.
It's just rebranding the payroll advance, which is one of the worst, most predatory concepts in American finance, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's making it easy at the push of a button, and it's making it seem like it's no big deal because it's partnering with all your favorite things.
Sure, I would offer that there are those that have used things such as payroll advance or credit, in this case, but they don't always have to. They don't always need to. Their life improves, their life changes, they're financially, they're in a different place. Yeah. And while they may have once found a use case for that, it doesn't mean that they're going to be this perpetual user. They're going to have a chronic problem with, I just need to buy something now so I can make 3 more payments on it in the next 6 weeks, right?
Yeah. So you're not talking about the majority of people. Yes, some people do find their way out of the trap that these kinds of companies create, but most people don't. They get like the payroll advance thing. It's something that you get sucked into, and you're always trying to catch up to today. And it's almost never possible. And you're giving away a percentage of what you earn on that. I like that this doesn't actually charge you to do it, but the same concept applies in that you are allowing people to decide on this instant gratification, and you're making it okay, and you're making it universal. Now it's everywhere, because now, like you said, Klarna's, all these companies are everywhere, and people, in a perfect world, people would be able to make the decisions that benefit them in the long run, and that is just not the way most people make decisions. And so I find this whole thing to be to be a nefarious tactic because people can't. And it's sad to say, people can't be trusted to do right by themselves in a lot of cases, and so things like companies like this pop up out of the ground like weeds to take advantage of that.
I don't think they started their company with the premise in mind or the idea in mind that let's go take advantage of the disadvantaged.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I don't think they did. At the very least, they're never going to admit to it. But
wait, let me look at their about statements. We here at Klarna really want to take advantage of the disadvantaged.
Be that as it may, if you are providing such a service that requires that people continually buy things and continually complete large transactions so that you can earn, I'm sure they're getting a little bit a kickback from all the partnerships that they have, right? DoorDash is like, oh, they use Klarna. Okay, now they're making a percentage off of that sale, and you need larger transactions. You need people that have a lot of money at their disposal that they can continue to engage in consumer shopping. Otherwise, as soon as you eliminate the disadvantaged pocketbooks, right? As soon as you exhaust their resources to the point where now they're in collections, they don't have any more, or the payments have become unmanageable and unbearable, well, then now they're not somebody that can continue to use your service at all. So it behooves them to make sure that they're not doing that.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so at all. I think that they're doing whatever they can to make as much money as possible. And as you said, the people's misfortunes tend to be cyclical. And so, they probably have written into their business model that a percentage of people will need to stop using their services temporarily because they become so financially, distraught that they're bankrupt. They can't afford to do anything, including buy stuff and pay later. And then they'll come back around when things work out, and they'll just go back to doing this, and it's like an addiction.
Well, those people are going to be involved and stricken with that addiction, regardless of the method or the platform that allows them to make those purchases, right? They're going to use those payroll advance places. They might ask their employer for a payroll advance. They might exhaust all of their credit cards and max out everything. They're already doing that. That just further proves my point about how we can't, as a society and individuals within that society, can't make decisions that have our own best interests at heart in the long run. And these companies are identifying that and exploiting the loophole that's in our society. If used properly,
yes,
it could be.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Okay, everybody, start using these fucking things properly, and I won't have an argument. Yes,
it could be an exceptional budgeting tool. They've tapped into how often people get paid, right?
Yeah.
If you make the purchase on your payday and you pay it again in 2 weeks, and your next payment's due in 2 weeks, and it's something you can afford, then this is a plan to repay.
I also don't like that their one-time credit card system is called the K card. Not a
fan. So I take it you've never even experimented using those at all. You wouldn't need to.
I wouldn't. I don't.
You
need
would
to.
need to. You wouldn't need to.
I'm a member of the 0.5 alcohol included % of people that.
Yeah. There's nothing about that entices you, or
no,
you wouldn't find any of it attractive.
No, and
it's unnecessary.
And so I just purely find it to be distastefully predatory for the people who want and need things and have no other means of getting them, but we're sliding in and being like, hey, we're close, right? I can help you with this. You just got to get me later. It's very loan sharky in my opinion.
Okay. I think there are perhaps, and maybe these stories are outliers, but there are people that, hey, they were out of work for a month or a period of time, and they were about to start a new job, and there was going to be some sort of a signing bonus, or there was a settlement, they knew they were going to come into it later, and it works for them. Or perhaps they were using this as a method to help them out with a business venture that they had, where this is kind of going to help us start things up. We're going to buy tools or equipment or things that are going to help us get off the ground now, so that we can progress and get going. I admit those. I don't know how many of those exist.
You're so good at coming up with the outlier, one-off, made-for-TV movie scenarios. That's your like big thing.
Next month,
yeah,
Klarna on Netflix. The BNPN. BNPL. They'll just rebrand it. Who owns Klarna? Or is Klarna a United States company?
Oh, that's a really good question. I like that question. Let me ask ChatGPT.
I wonder who owns them. I know some of them have restrictions on what countries you can purchase things from.
Swedish.
They're Swedish?
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I've seen too. So I'm not the only person who feels this way. There's legislation going through the New York State Senate right now to regulate these companies, because these companies like Klarna are getting away with not having to adhere to the credit card regulatory system.
It's a loophole.
Yeah, they've loopholed it. And there's places that are trying to close it. I'd be curious to see what's going on, and it's not. What am I trying to say? Gosh darn it, Kay. It's not. It's obvious that this whole thing is coming from a Democratic state, because I think the Democrats are most and their whole thing is realizing that people can't really care for themselves, so they got to do it for them. And so yes, this is totally a protecting people from themselves kind of legislation, because they identify that these kinds of things are dangerous.
Yeah, New York's good for that, right? They tried to restrict sodas over 16 ounces and all sorts of things in New York. Like, it's so bad for you, and you don't know what to do with yourself. So
California is the same way.
Yeah, yes.
We used to have Pizza Hut and Taco Bell carts at my high school, and then they passed the law where you could only put healthy snacks in the vending machines.
Mm-hmm. I think a larger discussion based on this is, okay, once we identify things that are bad for people, to what extent is society responsible for changing people's behavior against their will?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's people fight against it because, like, hey, don't tell me what to do. I'll fuck up my life if I want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Klarna was getting ready to set up their IPO, and they just postponed it because of the tariffs. Apparently, U.S. tariffs have disrupted the IPO landscape. That's interesting. They were aiming for a $15 billion valuation. Does that sound like something your homie does? Your homie's just floating you a sandwich, from Burger King, and they're worth $15 billion.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I was just looking up some of the BNPL companies. So a firm Sezzle's from Minnesota. A firm is from San Francisco.
Sorry, bro. I never stop to think that it's going to totally black your screen out for 5 seconds.
Afterpay, Sydney, Australia. Okay, so there's a firm, Afterpay, Klarna, Sezzle, PayPal, Zip. That's an interesting spelling for Split It, OpenPay, Uplift, Hokodoo is in London, Tabby, LazyPay. LazyPay is from India. Laybuy, Billy, Latitude Pay, pay later with L, the number 8, and R. Pay later.
Oh, Jesus
Addy,
Christ.
Payday, Tamara, Cap Cash, Payflex, Before Pay, Twisto. It just goes
How
on
many
and
of
on.
these are actually in America? This just tells me that other countries have got us figured out, and they are totally profiting off of our ignorance of the fact that they're manipulating us.
Okay. Okay. So I'll read the countries. We got California, London, Middle East, India, New Zealand, Germany, Australia. I want to say Austria there. The UK, Latin America, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, Japanese, Middle East. Yeah, most of them are from
So one
other countries.
one American company.
U.S., South African, Australian, European, UK-based, Sunbits from Los Angeles, Primal Health Credit, Newport Beach,
Okay.
U.S.-based PerPay, U.S.-based Visa Installment Solutions, so Visa's in the game, and MasterCard has their own installment solutions. PayPal is probably one of the big U.S. ones. It's probably one of the bigger used.
So I use PayPal. I use it a lot, but I don't use it for any kind of credit. I just use it to facilitate purchases. You know, tie it to my debit account.
Yeah.
So
PayPal often has, if it's over $100, 6 months, 0% interest.
Yeah, they always offer
or
me
18 months.
They always offer me the
interest.
no percentage stuff.
You can also do the installments and the make 4 payments.
And it's just a way to get you to buy bigger stuff because they're making money on it. Even if no interest, you're not the reason they're making the money. They're getting kickbacks from the company.
Well, Klarna has a fee per transaction.
Oh,
They didn't used to. So it's a $2 fee.
oh well, shit. Now on top of my DoorDash cheeseburger, that's already costing me 18% more than it was if I just walked down the street and got it myself. I got to pay $2 more.
It's a $2 fee, but they're trying to push their Klarna everywhere or anywhere.
Mhm.
Basically, it's like an $8 fee per month. It's a subscription fee, and it allows you to use a digital Klarna card to make purchases in stores anywhere. You just go, you break out your Apple Pay, break out your wallet, Apple Wallet, pay for things right then and there.
Man, okay, that makes it worse because now they're just profiting off of every single purchase, as well as
And all those other companies, they're doing the same thing. You can add digital cards into their wallet. They have usually they have some sort of subscription based option that allows you to make Visa and or MasterCard
and they have
MasterCard purchases.
their sub. You can pay $90 annually for Klarna's subscription.
Yeah.
So you're subscribing to the ability to keep yourself perpetually in incremental debt. Not a fan.
However, when you compare it to traditional credit cards, it's less.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You purchase a $2,000 television, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, before the Super Bowl or it's a Christmas present for the family or what have you, and you got your $500 work bonus, and okay, let's do this now. It costs you $2 to make the transaction, assuming you're not a subscriber to Klarna, and hey, you've got whatever. It's a you can afford it. You have a plan to do it, and it's going to cost less than putting it on your Visa card.
And they make most of their money by charging a fixed fee of 30 cents per transaction to the merchant, plus a variable fee ranging from 3.29 to 5.99% of the transaction amount. So, yeah, Klarna wants you to get this in your hand, and they want to make it easy for you to do. But if you're taking your Klarna to local businesses, they're being charged up to 6% of the purchase price.
If they choose to accept Klarna or whatever company, yes, it's just like Visa, MasterCard, or American Express or Discover. If that establishment accepts them, then they have to pay to play.
Yeah, but man, 6%. So your $2,000 TV is going to cost the business, the business $120 to sell it to you.
It's a trend.
It's a tragedy. Yeah. Wow. Gosh, I feel blessed that I'm financially stable enough to not have to consider these things to survive.
So what was your first introduction to Klarna? Was it this article, or how'd you hear about
I
it
read,
first?
I read the article about the DoorDash. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the DoorDash thing. Yes. If you have to put food or just basic necessities, just consumer products or things that you're gonna use and then you can't use it anymore on credit, like that's you probably should admit I have a problem. There's a problem somewhere. Whether that's you have a debt problem, maybe you have an income problem, you're just not making enough money, maybe you're just making all around poor financial choices. You should recognize you have a problem.
Yeah.
Now, if this thing broke in the house, we need this. Okay, I wasn't expecting it, and I'll have the money for it in the next 3 weeks, but this won't blow the rest of my budget because I don't have to put out the entire amount right now. There's so many people that don't have, if you're paycheck to paycheck, which is the vast majority of the people in our country, and if you have only $1,000 of surplus in your account at the time, and that's an emergency, and you don't want to get rid of that in that moment, in those things, it could help, right?
Yes, and that
your oven breaks and you need to replace it, right?
That kind of stuff is what credit is for. Major purchases, because very few people have the money to make a massive purchase. About financing cars, houses, appliances, but that's not what we're using it for.
No. Yeah,
we're using it to go to fucking Chick-fil-A. That's what we're using it for.
Chick-fil-A is worth it.
I've never been.
What? Oh, so it's restaurants that start with the letter C. Chipotle, maybe. Chick-fil-A.
Never been Chipotle. Never been Chick-fil-A.
You know what? We should do lunch and dinner.
Never been to Cracker Barrel.
Oh, what was it? What was the movie you were talking about on the last time we were together? It was. I forget. I was just going through the transcript of her last. I get enamored editing the transcripts on her podcast. I'm going through it line by line, just cracking up.
Hella dumb.
Yes, to that too. Every time.
41% of Americans say they could cover a $1,000 emergency bill using their savings.
Yeah,
a decline from 44% last year. Well, okay.
This is some Dave Ramsey stuff you're getting into. This is like the baby steps and how to use your money appropriately.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. But we definitely solved my anger issues with financial institutions that prey on the weak and feeble minded and poor.